We are now joined by Analyst Rahim Volkov to talk more on the current situation in Turkey and Syria. Welcome, Rahim.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's always our pleasure. Rahim, almost a week after the devastating earthquake, what can you tell us? How are these harrowing days being experienced?
Yeah, the powerful earthquake that hit southern eastern Turkey and northwest Syria on Monday was devastating. We have seen the images on media, as the rescue operations are going on. Like almost more than 80,000 buildings have been destroyed by the earthquake, powerful earthquake of magnitude 7.8. This, according to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, this was the most destructive earthquake Turkey has ever seen in the last 84 years. The 1939 earthquake that killed more than 38,000 people. After that earthquake, this earthquake has been claimed like more than 29,000 lives so far. And we have seen like the images are still coming on. The rescue operations are still going on despite the difficulties. The major difficulty for the rescue operations are like the weather condition here. The weather condition here is below 0 degree, and in some parts of the city, southern western Turkey, it's still snowing. So the rescue for the rescue, it is very hard to continue the rescue operations with faster pace. So the weather is creating difficulty. The same situation is in northern western Syria. We have seen Syria has been under civil war since 2011, and it has displaced more than 6 million people, internally displaced 6.5, and it has displaced more than 6 million people which are living in the neighboring countries, and some of them have fled to the Europe due to the ongoing war. But the recent earthquake has created further difficulties for both government and the rebels who are controlling the Idlib, especially northern Syria, mainly Idlib province. So recently we have seen when the earthquake occurred, hit the southern eastern Turkey and northwest Syria, the world has come together to help Turkey, but the Syria was still neglected. So the Syrian government said, due to sanctions, the Syria is not receiving the same attention as Turkey is receiving. So it's also creating a huge difficulties, to carry out the rescue operations in the major parts of Syria. But in Turkey, despite major response both from the government and from the international rescue teams, it has been 6 days, the rescue operation is still going on, and everybody is hoping more and more people will come out alive from out of the rubble.
You were talking about the international aid and how it has been pouring in from many countries. The Syrian government, however, has denounced that Western sanctions are hindering the delivery of assistance, as you were saying. What can you tell us about the reach of these sanctions and how they prevent helping those in need? And also, shouldn't the so-called international community do more for these sanctions to be lifted, especially in these trying times?
Yeah, this is all about humanity. A few hours ago, Martin Griffith, the UN aid chief said, the world has failed Syria. And this is true, the world is not giving the same attention to Syria as they're giving the attention to Turkey. This is not the time to do politics. This is not the time to to engage in the political games or supporting one party or supporting another. This is all about humanity. The Syria needs international assistance. And the US recently announced they are using some sanctions in order to allow the humanitarian aid to Syria. But the problem recently, a few hours ago, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the HTS, which is controlling mostly the Idlib province, have refused to sign to allow the humanitarian aid from the Syrian government. They said we will not accept any aid from the Syrian government, and we will not allow them to use this earthquake to lift sanctions on Syria. So this has all become a political game within Syria too. But the Syrian government has said, we are ready to help the affected parts in the affected northern city, the Idlib. But the problem is the rebel groups who are controlling Idlib are not allowing, not accepting the Syrian government to send this humanitarian aid to this area. And we know that, the government-controlled areas are also majorly affected, especially Aleppo. We have seen, the images, the shocking images, devastating images are also coming up from Aleppo. And the rescue operations are still going on. The Russians have sent, the rescuers, the Russian armies, helping, this Syrian government, in the rescue to to increase rescue operation in Aleppo and other affected cities like such as Tartus and Latakia. But it's still like, the international community is missing, especially the so-called West is missing, like which has been always talking about the humanity, human rights. But where is West now? Like it has been like a totally double standards like they are showing like towards Syria. Syria has been largely neglected by this whole geopolitical game and this whole civil war which is going on in Syria since 2011. So the Syrian government, it's not about the Syrian government or it's not about the terrorist groups or the rebel groups. It's all about people like who are in desperate need of the international aid and assistance. They deserve like to be alive. They deserve to have a shelter. They deserve to have food on their table. But unfortunately, just because of the Western negligence and Western this whole double standards, like Syria is still suffering, and the people are suffering. It's not the Syrian government which is suffering; it's the people who are suffering. So the West should lift the sanctions on Syria in order to like further continue the aid operations, to foster the pace of the aid operation and assistance to the Syrian people.
Rahim, one short question before saying goodbye because time is running short. The authorities in Turkey have issued over 110 arrest warrants of people in charge of several of the buildings that have collapsed for negligence, people in charge of constructing these buildings. Is this another example of profit over people's safety? And how far do you think these actions will go?
Yeah, this is very like important to notice. Like, the Turkish government has already issued like the warning, like because we have seen like the recent earthquake. In the recent earthquake, not the all buildings have collapsed. The 2 years old or 3 years old buildings have also collapsed. Like so, the Turkish government said like whoever constructed it, we will take a legal action against them. And yesterday there was a report like 2 of the contractors from the Istanbul airport were captured detained by the police. Like they were the contractors who built like the commercial residential buildings, and that collapsed like in the earthquake. They were actually trying to flee the country, but the Turkish police detained them from the airport. So the Turkish government is taking legal action against those like who have constructed these buildings without taking like the all like construction measures like as dictated by the government, because the Turkish government has bought these reforms like construction reforms in 2008. They have renewed like, but the new buildings like which were constructed by these constructors, they didn't like install like the shock absorbers, so that became a big problem like for the people. And we have seen like when the earthquake hit this region, it's a earthquake volatile region, so when it hit the region, so major buildings like collapsed and thousands of people died. So it's time for the Turkish government to like tighten the construction laws and to regulate the real estate in this country. So the Turkish government has already issued a warning. Maybe like they will take legal actions against those like who are responsible for these like feeble constructions.
Thank you, Rahim, for your inputs and time hearing from the South.
You're welcome.
Thank you. For now, we are saying goodbye. We have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other news on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok.